What is going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop Luke. In this episode, we'll be reviewing that amazing ANZAC Day win. Let's get into it. So, on Monday afternoon, Collingwood and Essendon fought it out in the annual ANZAC Day match, and it was one for, I want to say for the ages, but it was just a really, really good match. In saying that, we got the win. Absolutely fantastic to win after 3 losses. But to get the win where, and I'll go into this a little bit later, but where we probably didn't deserve the win, fantastic. And that's not to say that we didn't deserve the win because we were playing crap or anything like that. Essendon beat us in most of their in most of the stats on paper. And because they beat us in most of the stats, you think that would equate to an Essendon win. But on the flip side of that, the Geelong game, maybe not the West Coast game, but the Geelong game and definitely the Brisbane game, on paper, we absolutely blew them out of the water and we were leading in clearances and all this sort of stuff. We deserved that win, but we didn't get it. So it's a bit weird to be on the other end of that where we weren't ahead on all the stats, but we still got that win. And the boys just absolutely fought hard, and it was just amazing to see. So this game was a little bit of a danger game for us. We had just come off 3 straight losses: Geelong, West Coast, and Brisbane. Theoretically, on the way that we've played in those last 3 weeks, we should be maybe 4-1 going into this game. 5-0, but that's neither here nor there because we're not. We were 2-3, and Essendon were backs against the wall. They were 1-4 going into this game, sitting down the bottom. All the pundits and media and staff were going, Essendon are too slow, Essendon are lackluster, Essendon this, Essendon that, and you go, hang on a second, they are knocking this team down, and Anzac Day is like a grand final, so these guys are just going to come out there in force and try everything that they can to win. And that's exactly what they did. It was a seesawing affair through most of that game. I think the highest lead that any team had was Collingwood in the second quarter, and I think towards the fourth quarter as well. Might have been 18 points, so about 3 goals, or around that stage, or around that score. So you can see that it was very Essendon. At one point, Essendon would score 1, we would score 1. Essendon score 1, we would score 1. Very different to our last 3 games, but thankfully, we came away with the beautiful, beautiful win by 11 points, and it was really thanks to our last quarter effort. Essendon won the contested possessions, they won the clearances, and they won the inside 50s. Now, the last 3 weeks, we've won most of those stats, so like I said, this was a bit of a role reversal for us being on the back end of this sort of stuff and coming out with the win. Those centre clearances absolutely killed us at times as well. But in that last quarter, when Pendlebury stepped up like the leader that he is, went into the middle and said, you know what, guys, I'm taking this game by the scruff of the neck. He had, I think, 3 inside 50s, a bunch of contested possessions, 2 tackles, a score assist, I think, as well. So he stood up as any leader would and really took the game to Essendon, and he was probably one of the main reasons why we went on to win this game in that last quarter. Now, Collingwood's last quarters this season have been notoriously bad. We did kick a couple against Brisbane. Prior to that, we had kicked 2 goals in our last 3 fourth quarters. On Monday, we kicked 6 goals. Ridiculous. For the whole game, we kicked 15 goals, 3. Finally, we were the accurate team and not our opposition. How many times has the opposition gone? Pretty much that. 15-3 or 14-2, whatever it is. And then the next week, against another team, like West Coast were a good example. They kicked 2 goals, whatever it was, 17 or whatever ridiculous scoreline it was against Port Adelaide the other day. And you go, wow, they only can kick straight against us. But finally, we got our kicking boots on. Majority of the thanks to Jack Ginnivan kicking 5 fantastic Anzac Day goals. Awarded the Anzac Day Medal, of course he was, because he really was one of the reasons why we won that game. And yes, all the plaudits should be on Ginnivan for those, again, 5 goals in his 10 games, arriving on the big stage. But also, Brodie Grundy with 4 goals it's not really talked about a lot because all the rightful plaudits are on Jack Ginnivan, of course. But 4 goals. He stood up when he needed to after having a couple of down weeks, and then he had that health and safety protocols he was out with as well. So Checkers stood up when he needed to, and that was especially prevalent when Nathan Kruger went down with another shoulder injury, and he'll be out for presumably the rest of the year. Talking about last quarters and efforts in that last quarter and just throughout the game, Brodie Grundy. Now, there's been a lot of talk of Brodie Grundy. Of course, there's always going to be a lot of talk when a player is on $1 million a season or whatever it may be. The first 3 quarters, Draper was just all over him. Like I said, Essendon were winning the clearances. Grundy was hitting the tap-outs, but his tap-outs were getting sharp, so that's not really his fault. But Draper was just all over him. The physicality that Draper had to push him out of the way and whatever it may be. But in that last quarter, Grundy's effort was absolutely Herculean. Just the way he was tackling. He was taking marks. Last week against Brisbane, he didn't lay 1 tackle, and I'm pretty sure he didn't take 1 mark as well. So that was a very down game, right? To do what he did in that last quarter, and unbeknownst to us at the time, on 1 PCL. So he had PCL, he had torn that PCL off, and he was still playing in that last quarter. To do what he did, go back from 50, slot a goal, take marks, tackle, clearances, and all this sort of stuff, and still go in the ruck. It's just incredible. Look, like I said with Todd in our preview, you kind of, it is ANZAC Day, you don't really want to talk about how, you don't want to compare football to war, because obviously they're not the same thing. But metaphors and similes, you can kind of see why people use it. And for Grundy to stand up on ANZAC Day just epitomises everything that, a leader should stand for, because Grundy is a leader, and, like Scott Pendlebury as well, to stand up in that last quarter. And to do it on ANZAC Day, just solidifies what we already know about Grundy, that he is a great player, and unfortunately we'll be without him for 3 months. So he does that amazing quarter, and then he's out for 3 months, and what can you do? Unfortunately, that's just freaking football. Another thing that I really quickly wanted to touch on is that, we had 52 tackles. We stuck most of them, but from those tackles and from that pressure, we scored 56 points from Essendon turnovers. So that's pretty much like, what did we score all up? 93. So quick math says that's, nearly half of our score from turnovers. So that's really good. We're a very good pressure and defensive side, and that's shown by 56 points scored from turnover possessions. When you listen to Craig McRae speak, when you listen to the players come out, on RSN or SEN or whatever it may be, they're always talking about, we're just waiting for this game plan to click because it works. We can see it in glimpses. And I think slowly, it is starting to click a little. And we're starting to finally see that we will get a full 4-quarter performance. This was kind of close to a 4-quarter-ish performance, but we will start to see that, and that could start against the Gold Coast Suns. Lots of positives to take out of this game. The ANZAC Day Medal wanted to give them the win, of course. A couple of guys standing up. Quaynor's goal. Howe, I think he took about 9 or something intercept marks. Darcy Moore's defensive effort. Just Crisp's goal. Everyone standing up where they can. But let's not let this win gloss over some of the negatives as well, that we are still wasting opportunities going inside 50. And now without Kruger, it's going to be a little bit more hard to, have that sort of force there, that impact there. So Cox and Cameron, who will probably play in tandem now, are going to need to fill really, really big boots as that big full forward, because, like I said, Kruger's not there. We can't gloss over the fact that we were just toying with the ball at stages and coughing it up when we shouldn't, especially in the defensive half. One thing that I can remember is John Noble, instead of kicking down the line, he kicks inside 50. Waterman kicks a goal from it. So it's those little things that we can just tidy up, and the team will know this, the coaches are going to know this. But you can see it a little bit starting to seep in, and if we can just arrest it right now, it'll just go a long way into showing the actual game plan. You just don't want these little things creeping up. But I get that all teams are going to have this where, you know, players are not lining up properly, manning up properly, or they're doing little stupid things. And, you know, with new game plan and stuff, that's bound to happen. Let's, you know, lasso them and take them out of our game. Because once we do that, you know, if we stop giving Essendon all these uncontested possessions, Darcy Parish had 44 disposals. Look, I don't mean to tag him or anything like that, but, you know, they're evading tackles, make our tackles stick a little bit more. All these little things, you tighten them up, there's a premiership winning side. But anyway, Swoopers, that's just been my quick review of this amazing game. Let me know your thoughts down below. As always, I love to hear your comments. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers, I'll swoop you later.